Welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast, a mix of both solo episodes and expert interviews. Our ideal listener is an early career, ambitious, and passionate online language services provider. She is committed to professional growth and achieving success in the fiercely competitive translation and interpreting industry. She balances multiple responsibilities with resourcefulness, values mentorship, is open to learning, and investing in her professional development journey. She embraces technology and seeks to optimize workflow, eager to connect with like-minded peers and build out her professional network. She is determined to overcome challenges and become a sought-after freelance translator. And here's your host, medical translator and translator business mentor, Jason Willis-Lee.
Sarah is a specialized chemical translator working from German into her native English at chemicaltranslator.com. She's also been supporting translators with the business and marketing side of translation since 2019 through her weekly emails, courses, and within the Expedition Group, a membership for translators that offers a new marketing adventure every month. Her latest book, Your Ticket to Explore, Essential Preparation for Your Translation Marketing Adventures, is a practical guide to developing a successful marketing mindset illustrated with personal stories. Okay, welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients, a podcast hosted by myself, Jason Willis-Lee. This show makes digital marketing easier and more fun using the perfect combination and just the right dose of business strategy and tech. I'm your host, Jason Willis-Lee, digital marketing specialist, and today I'm so thrilled to welcome Sarah Silva. Sarah has bags of experience in freelance translation and entrepreneurship, and she brings a unique perspective to our discussion. Sarah, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good, thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me on here.
You're very welcome. Thank you for accepting. So can you start by, just as an icebreaker, could you tell us a little bit about your journey in translation, youpreneurship, solopreneurship, and your unique vision for the future of the industry? Talk about your translator career and your career as an entrepreneur. I know you do training as well.
Sure, yeah. So I started translation with a kind of ready-made specialism because I'd studied chemistry and German at university and then worked in industry for a little bit first. So that, I think, gave me a kind of instant benefit. And then I kind of moved over the years. So 2008, I retrained as a translator, started my translation business, and then worked exclusively with agencies. And then after a while, I decided I wanted to work with clients directly for various reasons, like rates, greater job satisfaction, communication, more flexibility, and all of those reasons why everyone's moving towards working with direct clients now. And then I started dabbling really and experimenting with different types of marketing and strategies myself. And then other people started getting interested and, what are you doing? You're going to client conferences, you're doing direct mail campaigns, and tell us what that's about. And so I started training probably about 5 years ago and offering translators kind of courses and training on how to do some of the things that I've done in the past, because I could see it was working for me and no one else within the translation industry was really doing a lot of that. So since then, I've been offering workshops, working with other translators and associations in collaborations, and offer a membership, and have just written a book last year as well for translators.
Congratulations on the book. What was your job in industry? Was it you said it was in the chemical industry? Was it pharmaceutical chemicals, or what exactly was that?
A few different companies, as I kept trying to find the perfect position to combine chemistry and German and never quite found it. So I've worked in a paper mill, a flooring company, and a pharmaceutical company. So started off doing chemical trials and then moved company and did more kind of export and speaking to the German customers on the phone, and then kind of liaising with all different departments. But I got to see how a manufacturing company works from 3 different perspectives, and it was really useful insights that's prepared me for working with those clients as a translator now.
Let's talk about your talk at Seville. I saw you just a week ago at BP24. It's very nice to see you. You came with your husband, which was fantastic. You gave what I thought was one of the best presentations at the event. It was called Marketing to a Skeptical Audience. You shared with us a worksheet of seven sort of your top tips or hacks could you just go through a couple of those, 2 or 3 of those, to give us an idea? And then we'll link to the resource so that my audience gets what I got, which was the resource at the end of the presentation, which was a very clever way of giving that to everyone. Could you just talk about two or three of those things that we can all do in our client services business, please?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that a lot of, like, I've done this in the past and still do it on occasion, that a lot of translators do is we assume that clients know everything about our industry and how to pick the best person for them. And we give out kind of vague concepts and say, we're high quality, we're very responsive, all of the things that we are and that are valued, but don't really tell the client a lot about how we can help them achieve their outcome. So I think one of the biggest things that we can do to help convince clients and help them understand really what options they have and how we can help them in different ways is to provide evidence and kind of social proof of our services. So how specifically do we help clients like them achieve the results they want to achieve? And we can do that with case studies, with testimonials, by talking specifically about our specialist areas and the clients and who those clients are, even if we can't say, a lot of translators will say to me, oh, it's very confidential, I've got non-disclosure agreements, but you can still describe them in a way that is a lot more compelling than just saying, I work with, in my case, the chemical industry. If I describe a client as like an international manufacturer or an analytical lab that goes to these events and has this training or turns over this amount of revenue each year, that's a lot more compelling, and the specificity, if I can say that word, is just more credible than saying I work with these types of clients. So I'd say one big thing is to try and provide that evidence and get as much as you can, like describe your clients, describe the type of projects, talk about the benefits and the outcomes that your clients get, so that potential clients then will be able to put themselves in those shoes and come to you if they want the same results. It's all about putting yourself in the client's shoes. And if you say that as a translator, if you're looking for a website company, I want to see examples of other websites that company has done to see if I like their style and like the way they go about it. Yeah. And it's hard for us to do that as a translator, because you can provide translation samples, but very often our clients don't speak our native language, so it's hard to assess the quality. Whereas talking about clients and projects and things that we've worked on, they can do that a lot better. And I suppose the other thing that goes hand in hand with that is transparency and showing clients what we do, explaining the process, explaining what we add to the project over AI and machine translation and all the other kind of options that clients might be looking at nowadays. It's the knowledge and the experience and the cultural awareness that we add to those projects, where we might click the links and make sure that our clients are sending people in the right direction, or that the links are available in the language that we're translating into, so it's for the right readership, showing the extra things that we do, and being transparent about what happens next, making it safe for the client to say, okay, well, if I ask you for information and I send an inquiry, what's going to happen next? When are you going to contact me? What information do I need to give you? All of kind of those things that I think will just makes you a more credible business partner.
Yeah, absolutely. Social proof is so important. We were talking about it just before we hit record. I think there was a separate session on testimonials by a Czech colleague called Jakob. I didn't attend that, but if people want to dig that out of the BP archive, they can do. And what you said about showing clients what's going on, the kind of behind the scenes work, I think, which is quite nice, is just another way of getting our value across, isn't it? It's conveying the value much more, or more easily by showing people what they're doing. Thank you. So we'll link to that that resource in the show notes. Let's talk about collaborations. How do you collaborate with other industry influencers or those with some pull or some sway in the industry and organizations, maybe membership organizations, into professional institutes to support translator training initiatives? I know you have a very popular translator training membership. And how does this foster innovation in the translation ecosystem, particularly just bridging the gap between upskilling and CPD and the industry as a whole, to sort of big picture of the industry? What kind of collaborations? I guess this is one such collaboration, because you're on you're on my podcast.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
kindly. What else do you do? Do you do workshops for other institutes, other things like that?
Yeah, so I've worked closely with the ITI, the Institute of Translation and Interpreting in the UK. I've been a tutor on their Advancing Your Freelance Translation career course. I've worked with people in the industry like Tess Whitty and Corinne McKay, and people doing training through them. And yeah, guest posts, collaborating with other colleagues in the industry to use their skills, working with other people and experts from outside the translation industry as well, bringing them into my membership mostly, when we're working on different expeditions, different topics, so that we can get that kind of non-translation industry perspective, which I think is really important. A lot of my training is not based on improving your translation skills, your language skills, and the craft of writing. It's more about the business skills, and business and marketing.
Yeah. Okay. What about the outlook for translation entrepreneurship? So AI is hot on our heels. This wave has been quite significant, I would say. Where do you see the integration of AI technologies into our work, and what advice would you give aspiring translators, aspiring upreneurs looking to come into the industry? Is there hope for the future, or is it all doom and gloom?
I'm an optimistic person. I like to think there's always opportunities out there. It's just whether you need to adapt. I think as freelance translators, as solopreneurs, we are able to be a lot more agile and a lot more flexible with with clients' needs and things like that, as opposed to bigger companies with more rigid structures. So I think there is optimism. I think I would encourage people to still train as translators, but I think the job will look differently. I think it will be more about, I suppose, the skills beyond translation that we can offer. As I said, I've come into the industry with a ready-made specialism, so I would suggest to anybody who's looking at languages as a career to also have some other skills and some training that they can bring in with them, not just languages, whether that's marketing, whether that's another subject. I know you started studying as a medicine, didn't you?
Yes.
So similar kind of situation, different industry. And I think perhaps it isn't straight translation that is going to be what's needed. It's more complex translation. It's more perhaps writing from scratch with a brief in a different language, rather than translating everything. That maybe it's helping with like the cultural insights, so providing a consultation service to your translation client with some translation. Yeah, who knows what it's going to look like in a few years? Like the pace of technology is changing all the time, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning niche. I will link to one of our worksheets, which is this one: how to niche down and dominate. I've just published a book, an ebook. It's coming out in paperback on Monday, and that's called How to Find More Direct Clients. And the first chapter is actually called Niche Your Way to the Top. So that deals with the niche very nicely. What about diversification? I mean, you and I both offer training as a supplement to our translation. You know, we both still translate, maybe to a greater or lesser extent. What kind of activities can we diversify into if we're looking to add a string to our bow and not just do German to English translation or French to English or Spanish to English in my case? What activities do you think would you advocate as good diversifying activities?
I think all translators are writers, so kind of translation adjacent services could be copywriting, probably what we call transcreation. Clients might call it something slightly different. Writing from scratch, helping clients with their strategy. But if you're a marketing translator, then you know a lot about different strategies, and some clients will have somebody in the marketing department that isn't necessarily a marketing specialist, but you can provide those added insights. There's a lot more video content now, so I think the subtitling market perhaps there'll be more demand for that. Yeah, I mean, workshops, and also we both attended a talk at BP conference with Carlos, who was talking about terminology management, and I can see that, like, the more and more people using machine translation and trying to do the translation perhaps in-house at the moment anyway, as maybe creating a glossary and selling terminology management solutions would be another option as well, because that can be very valuable. And then it's very useful for clients who are trying to do their own translation. They can check the right context and all of the things that we know that they might not be checking when it comes to machine translated text.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlos gave another excellent presentation. I enjoyed his. In the book, I talk about 3 particular areas to diversify, and one is podcasting, which is what Sarah and I are doing right now. I don't use this as a profit generator. I use it more as a nurture channel. I also have a YouTube channel, but podcasting is something I got up fairly quickly. It wasn't too difficult. The next one is copywriting, as Sarah mentioned. So I give you lots of advice on copywriting. I do some myself, but it's usually copywriting for my own emails and my own assets that I'm using to sell my products. And the third one, which Sarah and I discussed just before coming on, is affiliate marketing. So affiliate marketing is where you help. So if Sarah were asking me to help her sell her training program, Expedition, she would send me an affiliate link and I would give that to my audience, and vice versa. I would give her an affiliate link to my book or my course. And it's just leveraging other people's audiences, and that really is passive income. Leveraged income is where there's work up front to create a course or an asset, a book, whereas passive income is where you sell someone else's product. So these are things I think you can look at the book, hopefully, and see what I say and see if you'd like to get into those areas. Okay, so final 5. I always do 5 final questions, and I'll jumble these up so they're not always in the same order. How would you describe AI? So just to first sort of, quick and snappy answers. How would you describe AI in just one word? In just one word, how would you describe it? The AI.
Hyperbolic. I'm going to say hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic or hyperbolic? Hyperbolic. Okay, that's a good one. Good. What would you rather have? Gills to breathe underwater or wings to fly? This is just a pull in the leg question.
Wings to fly, definitely. I've always wanted to fly.
What's the best business advice you've received yourself from a mentor, or perhaps you've given to one of your mentees or students? What's the best business advice?
I think it's that no one really knows, like, the answer. No one knows if, when you're marketing your services, how it's going to land. It's the target market. You need to talk to your audience. You need, I think, having conversations with your target market, with your clients. That completely changed things when I started talking. Not that I wasn't talking to my clients before, but going to their events and having conversations about what they needed, so that it wasn't necessarily that they were coming to me for translation or editing. They were coming to me to make the whole process quicker, or the different insights that you get when you talk to those clients, that we're only just making an educated guess.
How that spurs on another question, which is not in the Final Five, but how do you teach the ideal customer avatar concept? This sort of that we're gunning for a sliver of the market. We're not trying to please everybody. We're just going for that tiny, minimal viable. How do you best advise we drill down on the avatar? It's just getting all the demographics and psychographics together, isn't it?
It is. I do talk about thinking about the companies that I want to work with and types of text that I want to work on, and then finding out who are the people at those companies, who are the kind of industry players, what are the events they go to, and trying to get kind of a list of ideal clients that I'd like to work with, and working down into who's most likely going to need translation, what are they doing now, and outreach.
Who are the movers and shakers, or who are the decision makers, I suppose. Okay, I talk a lot about feel good productivity. I quite like time management skills. I hopefully will do a challenge on time management in May. That's a coming attraction. What's one productivity tool you just can't live without? One productivity tool that helps you get more done in less time, or just get that feeling of feel good productivity. What's a tool you can't do without? Just can't live without it.
It's very, very non-techy, but pen and paper, my bullet journal.
That's excellent.
Bullet journal, and I also use the Clever Fox planner, because it just helps me narrow down like all the many things that I want to do, and I have to choose 3 things that I'm going to do that day. And it just keeps the habits on track. And if I can just put pen to paper and write everything out, clears my brain. I've tried all different online tools, but I just need to have it there in front of me.
I like that. When I was in the business scorecard workshop on the Monday, because I arrived early, I wasn't quite sure when the conference was starting, but I did have that workshop scheduled. And Fernando Cunhado just pulled out his agenda and said just that. He just said, this is a good productivity tool, his diary with a pen. And you have a link to the Clever Fox Planner to give us? We'll get that in the notes. Is that a link we can?
I think becoming more popular among some of the translators.
Amongst the, we'll find it. We'll get a link to that. Okay, final one of the final 5 is, what's the biggest myth? So I like to do myth busting. What's the biggest myth people feel when it comes to translator training? Some limiting belief or preconception or something. What's a myth? The biggest myth people come across?
I think people are looking for the one perfect strategy, or the magic bullet, the thing that is going to hold all the answers to why they're not able to get the clients that they want at the moment. And there's no one single strategy. I think any strategy can be adapted to make it work for anyone. It's just a case of having those conversations with the target market, finding out what's going to work for you, what you're comfortable with, how you could stretch yourself a little bit further, and doing it consistently and taking action. But I think I've been guilty of this in the past. Like I need to find like the answer, the strategy, the approach that is going to just be most effective. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. And I think sorry to say that there isn't one, and it takes a little bit of exploring, experimenting, and continued consistent action.
I think that's that the silver bullet is one. One for me would be this conception. There are some voices in our industry who advocate against paid training. So they think everyone, wouldn't it be nice if all our training were for free, if university education were for free, and CPD were for free? It just sounds like such a utopia. I mean, it seems to me very difficult to, if not impossible, to convince people to invest in you if you don't invest in other people. That's one thing. The second thing is people will come crying out for discounts time and again, left, right, and center, if you adopt that kind of attitude, and if you haven't got this value conversion across. And some people are better at conveying value than others. Some people are better charging their full worth than others. But as someone who's invested well over 5 figures, I would say, in my own career in the last 2 years, and I'm seeing the benefits of that now. I think that kind of attitude is actually quite irresponsible, not to say unprofessional. What's your feeling on that?
I mean, I think everyone values another person's time. I think we all give back to the profession in different ways.
Yeah.
Mentoring people. I've got someone coming for work experience in the summer, give talks and content through emails and blog posts, and there is a lot of information out there for free already. Like
Yes.
you can go to YouTube University, you can buy books very cheaply, you can find a lot of free information already out there, but the free information, it needs you to be highly disciplined and self-motivated to put into action. And I think paying for somebody's help and for someone's experience, you're paying for all the hours that they've invested, the training that they've got, and that you're paying for the speed at which they can help you get to where you want to go. Really, I think it's the shortcuts. Even though I said before there wasn't a magic bullet, it is a shorter route to get to where you want to go. If you can ask somebody specifically for their expertise, and if they've done what you want to do, then why not pay for their time and ask for help and get that expertise?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the investment is in the person, is in the shape of the mentor, and it's the way they talk about work and life in general, and how you resonate, how that falls on you, lands on you. I'll give an example of what Sarah just said. I've had technical difficulties getting my book published on various different platforms, things I know less than nothing about. So I'm completely sold to the experts who know what a trim size is and a spine size, who can actually get this through the Amazon KDB platform or Ingram Spark or whatever it is. And I recently asked a second VA to provide me with a further VA who's specialized in these platforms, which she did. So I'm quite happy to pay for someone to press the fast forward button on something I'm struggling with myself. And that's what I advocate for my students, and I think Sarah does as well. Okay, so do you have any upcoming event, or is there some events that you can invite us to, or do you have a registry link or something coming up? Is there something you'd like to share about your upcoming events, or
Well,
anything
we've
at
got
all?
the BP Translation Conference, so the online version coming up in a couple of
Yes,
months. So I'm repeating my talk there.
fantastic.
And then every month, because I run a monthly membership called the Expedition Group for Translators, so every month there's something new in there. And I think in May we're doing a challenge that's extending what I talked about at BP and putting all the points that we talked about into action.
Fantastic. Okay, so final thoughts or key takeaways. What would you like to share with our audience? Any key takeaways? The audience is skeptical. We need to persuade them about the key takeaway.
Yeah, I mean everyone's audience is more and more skeptical. I think the more information that is available, more content that is created by AI, by machines, and all the things we've been talking about, the skill really nowadays is sifting through that information and finding the stuff that's relevant to you, to your clients, to helping your clients get the right information, rather than helping, like, making them kind of sift through that information to find you. So yeah, make your clients' lives easier, provide evidence, provide credibility, provide sorry, you were about to say.
I was just going to say, I think there's an information overload, and I think we need to be just ever conscious of the quality of our information and the things, less. I think less is more, very much so these days. I mean, I'm on quite a few people's lists. I have a list myself, and it's difficult to pay attention to all this information. It is It has to be very carefully curated and very conscious of the transformation you're trying to get for people, taking them from A to B whenever you're teaching a skill or something. Where can my listeners connect with you to learn more about your specific work and expertise? Where's the best platform?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn or Instagram. You
Okay.
can find me there. Otherwise, my training for translators is all on businesstranslated.com.
businesstranslator.com, and it's Sarah Silva on LinkedIn or Instagram. Okay, let's wrap it up for today's episode of how to find more direct clients. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions of the ever-evolving landscape of language and direct client marketing, which is what we're dealing with. Until next time, stay on your game, and don't forget to future-proof your career in this AI translation era. Bye for now, and bye from Sarah as well.
Bye. Thank you for having me, Jason.
You're very welcome.
Here's a fun fact about Jason. Jason is a big Star Wars fan. Thanks for tuning in to the How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, why not head over to www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com to access all our tools and resources to monetize and future-proof your freelance translation business. And don't forget to hit the plus button in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or subscribe in Spotify to be notified when new episodes drop. For regular tips and insights, business strategy, or marketing techniques straight to your inbox, please sign up at www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com.